Hey, what's up guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to learn how to clone the Xbox landing page with React and style components. In the previous video, we have learned about all the basics of style components. So if you don't know about style components, go ahead and watch that video first. I'll put the link on the description. So in today's video, we're gonna clone the Xbox landing page. This is the page that we are going to build, and this is the actual Xbox landing page. You can see they look pretty similar. I try to make things as simple and as same as possible, but you cannot have everything 100% accurate. Our application is also hosted on Vercel, so you can check this out by going to this link. The link will be on the description. So in this web page, we have this header section, we have this logos, then we have this navigation, and then we have this hero section. We can also slide these hero sections. And this is achieved with Swiper.js, which we will talk about in the video. After the hero section, we have these icons. Then we have the most complex thing about this web page, which is this content block layout. You can see it is 2-column grid. And if I scroll down more, we have this horizontal block. And then again, we have this content block section. And then we have the horizontal block. Finally, we have this social media section and the footer. This website is also responsive, so if I open up the dev tool and I will go to the top, so let's shrink the browser width, and you can see that the website is responsive to the width, and you can see also the images has been changed of the hero section. These images are for the small screen sizes, and as I'm shrinking down, you can see that it is looking pretty good on small screen sizes. Okay, so this is what we are going to build in today's video. If you are interested, please consider like this video and subscribe to my channel to see more of these React videos. So without further ado, let's get started. Let me give you a quick introduction of mine. My name is Anjan. I'm a full stack web developer who can develop complex web applications from UI to backend systems. You can watch my work by visiting my portfolio website thatanjan.me, then just go to projects, and here you will see all of the projects that I have worked on. I'm looking for a new opportunity in a company where I can provide great value with my skills and knowledge. So if you are a recruiter or someone who wants a new team member who can solve problems, can develop real-world application, feel free to contact me. You can reach out to me by email, LinkedIn, or Twitter. All of the links are going to be in the description just for you. Alright, enough of my introduction, let's get straight into the tutorial. Alright guys, so first of all we need to create a React app. I'm going to use create React app. If you want to use Next.js, you can do that. But for this simple landing page, we're going to use create React app. So just to create a React app, just type yarn create React app. Then your project name, I'm going to call it Xbox clone React YT. So let's create the app. Alright, so our project is created, so let's cd into the folder. And now let's install some packages. So yarn add, I want to install styled components, so styled components. Then I want to install nano ID. It will generate us some unique ID. It will be used for React keys. And finally, I want to install Swiper, which is a carousel library that I was talking about while showing you the demo. So these are the packages that we need, so let's install them. Alright, so our packages are now installed. So let's open the project on our text editor. Now first I want to clean up everything. So let's open up the index.js file inside the source directory. I don't need the CSS file. Then report web vitals and also this piece of code. Let's go to app.js. I will delete all of this code from here. I will create a custom component. So let's run the React server on another terminal. Just type yarn start. Alright, so the server is running on port 3000, and on the browser you can see app is been printed out. So let's test if style component works or not. I will import style function from style component. Now I'm using a snippet extension called style component snippets. You can use that on VS Code. I will put the link on the description. And now let's create a component. I'll call it heading. Tag will be h1 and color will be red. And let's add heading here. Hello. And you can see we have a red text. So style components is working fine, but now I'm going to add absolute input feature to our project. So on the root of our project, let's create a file, and the file name has to be jsconfig.json. So inside the JSON file, we need to add compiler options property, and we need to add a base URL, and the base URL will be source. And then we need to add include field, which will be an array. The value will be source. Okay, so let's quit this file. And now we need to reset the browser default styles. So I'm going to create a file inside the source directory. Actually, before that, let's remove these files. I forgot to remove that. So let's go to source directory. So git rm. I don't need these files: app.css, app.test.js, logo svg, setup test, and report web vitals. Alright, so now they are removed. So let's create that file. I will call it global.styles.js. And we need to import a function called create global style from style component. So import create global styles from style components. So let's create the global style. And now I'm just gonna paste the default styles. Alright, so these are the default styles that we need. We have imported a font called Nodo Sans. Then we have created two CSS variable, Xbox green and light green. And for those who know style components, you know you can create a theme with style component, but just for two variable, I'm not gonna create a theme. Then we have reset the default styles. I have set max width to 100 view width and overflow X to hidden so that we don't get any horizontal scrolling. Then font family to Nodo Sans. HTML font size will be 62.5%. It will make one rem equal to 10 pixels. Then for a tag, I have removed the text decoration, and color will be inherited from the parent. So let's export the global style. So let's go to index.js and let's import global styles. So import global styles from global.styles, and it should be /global styles. And now let's add the global styles as a component here. We have an error. Create global styles was not found from style components. So let's go to that file, global.styles. Okay, so it should not be create global styles. It should be create global style. Now it should work fine. And you can see it is working fine. We don't have the default browser styles. So now I'm going to move this tab onto my editor workspace. Okay, so now it is looking good. I want to make this project mobile first approach. So we're going to make this web page for mobile first. Then we're going to work on other screen sizes. So let's work on our page. Now I'm gonna build the page section by section. For example, first I'm gonna create the section of header, then the hero section, this image part, then this icon section, then this content blocks. Okay, so let's first create the header section. So let's go to app.js and let's delete this. So let's create a directory called components, and inside the components directory I'm going to create another directory called header, and inside the header directory I'm going to create another file, header.jsx. Then I'm going to create another file called header.styles.js. So let's open these files. I'm gonna export a component, and let's go to app.js and let's import that header file. Now I'm going to use absolute import instead of relative import. So I specified the point source, so I'm gonna import that file relative to the source directory. So it will be components/header/header.jsx, and actually I don't need the extension, so let's add the header. We have an error, cannot resolve components header. I guess I have to restart the server, so I will kill that with Ctrl+C. So let's start the server again with yarn start. Alright, so now we don't have the error, we have this little header text. So let's go to header.styles.js and import the style function. Now on the header you can see that we have many images, then logos. So I'm gonna bring all of the necessary media files on my project. Alright, so I have imported all of the media files. I have created a directory called media, which is stored inside the source directory. And inside the media directory, I have this icons directory where all the icons are stored. And I need to import a lot of media files, so I'm gonna paste the import statements. Alright, so I have imported all of the icons. I have imported the Microsoft logo, Xbox logo, then search icon, hamburger icon, card icon, account icon, then close icon. So let's create a header container component. Component name will be header container, and the tag name will be header, and let's import that on our header file. Not import from /header styles, and I need to import header container, and I will remove these divs. Header container. So let's create styles component without any styles, just for the markup. And now I need a header base icon. And the tag will be img. Then I will need a hamburger icon. The hamburger icon will just inherit stars from the header base icon. So I'm gonna pass header base icon. Then we will need a icon container for the Microsoft logo. So I'm gonna call it MS logo container. And the tag will be div. Then we will need the MS logo. And the tag will be image. Then we will need a Xbox logo. Again, the tag will be image. Then we will need a search icon. And it will inherit from header base icon. I will copy this one. So these are the component we need for now. Let's add them to the header. Then we will add the CSS styles. So let's import the hamburger icon, then MS logo container, MS logo, then Xbox logo, then search icon. And now let's create a component for storing the hamburger icon, actually the navigation logic. So const, I'm gonna name it navigation container. Which will just return hamburger icon. And inside the header container, I'm gonna add the navigation container. Now we still don't see anything because hamburger icon doesn't have any image. So let's go to header styles. Now we need to pass a source attribute to the hamburger icon. So we need to call the atts method from this. So dot attrs, and we need to pass an object here. And inside the object we need to specify all of the attributes. I want to add a source attribute, and the source will be hamburger icon. And you can see on the right hand side we have this hamburger icon. So now let's add style for the header container. Let's add a height of 6 rem and background color of this hex value FA. And now let's add display flex. Then align items to center, and position will be relative. Now let's go to header base icon. Let's add height of 2.5 rem, width of 2.5 rem, then cursor will be pointer, and margin right will be 2 rem. And now let's add styles to the hamburger icon. Object fit to cover, then margin left to 1 rem. Now let's add opacity of 0.6. Alright, so this is our hamburger icon. Now let's work on the MS logo container. We need to add the source attribute to the MS logo. So source will be MS logo. Let's go to header and let's add the MS logo container. And inside the container we will add the MS logo. Alright, so this is our Microsoft logo. Now let's add style to the MS logo container. Now I want the MS logo container to take all of the remaining space of the header. So flex grow of 1. Then I will make it display flex. And I will make justify content to center. Now let's go to MS logo. I want to add width of 10 rem. Alright, so here is our Microsoft logo. Now let's style the Xbox logo. So let's add the source attribute. And the logo will be Xbox logo. And let's add the Xbox logo. And also the search icon. Alright, so this is our Xbox logo. So let's add style. Width of the Xbox logo will be 7.5 rem. And now let's add the search icon. And it will be search icon. And for the style, I want to add transform property. I want to add scale X of -1. And now let's just add the cart icon and the account icon. So export const cart icon styled. We will inherit from the header base icon. Then attribute source will be cart icon. I'll copy this one. This time it will be account icon. And the source will be account icon. And let's add template strings. Let's go to header and let's add the cart icon. Oops, I haven't really imported it. So cart icon and then account icon. And you can see that we have the cart icon and also the account icon. Now let's work on the navigation. This one. So I'm gonna create another directory here. I'll call it navigation. And inside the navigation, I'll create another file. I'll call it navigation.jsx. Oops, not JS, JSX. And I will create another file. And it will be navigation.styles.js. So let's create a component. And let's import that component on our header. Import header, not header, navigation from components /navigation/navigation. And we need to insert the navigation component inside the navigation container. So I will add a fragment here. And after the hamburger icon, I will add the navigation. And let's open up the navigation styles file. And let's import style component. I'll create 3 components here. One will be nav link, the actual link component. And the tag will be anchor tag. Then I'll create hamburger navigation. And the tag will be nav. Then I will create another instance of this component. And I will call it navigation on big screen. And it will inherit from hamburger navigation. So let me explain these components. So the nav link will be these individual links. Then the hamburger navigation will be the container for the navigation. I'll close this nav and I will increase the screen size. You can see that the same navigation is on the header. So this navigation on big screen will be this one. So let's go to navigation.jsx file. This navigation component will take a prop called parent. The parent will be a component. So let's add the parent here. And I will import the nav links component. And I will create an array. It will be nav links. It will be an array of text, so I'm gonna paste them here. So I'm gonna loop over the nav links. Link will be the first parameter, and I'm gonna return the nav link. And the text will be link. Now to add React keys, I'm gonna import the nano ID from nano ID. And now let's add the key. And on the right hand side, you can see we don't have anything on the screen because we have an error. The parent is undefined on the header file because we haven't passed the prop. So let's import the hamburger navigation and navigation on big screen component on header file. So import from components /navigation dot styles, and it will be hamburger navigation, then navigation on big screen. I know they are terrible names, but it will work. So now let's add the prop parent, and the color will be RGBA value. I'm just gonna paste that here. So this will be the RGBA value. Then add text transform to capitalize. Now you can see that the hamburger navigation doesn't take the full screen, so we need to add a width to the hamburger navigation, and it will be 100%. Alright, so you can see it is taking the full width. And when I will hover over the links, I want to have underlines. So hover, text decoration to underline, and cursor will be pointer. And now if I hover over them, you can see we have underlines. So that's it for styling the hamburger navigation. We will handle the navigation on big screen later. Now we need to add a toggle feature to the hamburger icon. So let's open up the header file. And to the navigation container, we need to add a state. So I will import useStateHook. And let's create a state. And the state name will be open. And the default value will be false. Now we need to pass the open state to the hamburger icon to actually change the icon when we will click on it. So open will be open. And now let's add an on-click handler. I just want to set the state. So set open will be opposite of the current state. So we can pass a function, so priv, and we want to return the opposite of priv. And and we want to render the navigation only if open is true. So if open is true, then we want to render navigation. So let's click on the hamburger icon. You can see we can now toggle the navigation, but the icon is not changing. So let's add the feature. Let's open up the header styles file, and in the hamburger icon, you can see in the adds method we have passed an object, but we can also pass a function which will return us an object. So I need to access to the props, so I'm gonna pass a function. So props, this props has that open state that we have passed here. So if props.open is true, then we want to render close icon, else we want to render hamburger icon. So now let's click on it. You can see the icon is changing. I guess we are done with the header. Now let's work on the hero section. This hero section has this image, then a title, subtitle, then a CTA button, and it also has this swiping feature, which will be achieved by swiper.js, and also this one has this yellow tag. So let's work on that. First of all, we're going to create a single hero section, then we will add other tools. So let's close all these files, and inside the components directory I will create another directory. I'll call it hero, and let's create a file, hero.jsx, not js, jsx. Then I will create another file, hero.styles.jsx, not jsx, js. So let's create a component. Let's open up the app.js, and let's import hero from components /hero/hero, and let's add the hero. Now let's open up the hero.styles file. So let's first import the style component. Now first we need to create a component for the hero section. And the tag will be section. Then we need a component for background image, this one. So hero bg image, and the tag will be picture. Oops. Now the image will change based on the breakpoint. This is an image for small screen size. If I increase the screen size, now it is a completely different picture. So we are going to use picture tag to add this functionality. But inside the picture tag, we will have an image tag and also a source tag. Then we will need a title. So hero content title. It will be h2. Then we will need a subtitle. Actually, I will copy this one, and it will be subtitle, and the tag will be h4. Then we will add a component for the actual content, and the tag will be a div. And we will also need two more components, this CTA button, this green button, and this yellow tag component, and it will be used on other components. So I'm gonna create another file. I'll call it common components, components.styles.jsx, not jsx, only js. And let's import style components. Let's create the green button component, and the tag will be anchor tag. And let's create a component for yellow tag, and the tag will be div. So these are the components that we need. So let's go to the hero file and let's import the components. So import from components, not components, dot slash hero styles, and also import from components slash common components dot styles, and I want to import green button, then yellow tag, and from the hero styles I want to import hero section, hero PG image, hero content, hero content title, and hero content subtitle. Let's remove these divs and let's add the hero section. For now, I'm gonna add a simple div to contain a single section. Later we will add swiper slide. So first it will have hero PG image. Inside this we will have the source tag. Then we will have an image tag. And I need to import the images, so I will just paste the code here. So these are the images that we will need. But for now we will use a single image. We're going to use this C image. C image is the small image and C big is the image for the big screen. So image source will be the C image. And you can see we have this image, but we want to change it on big screen. So we need to use this source tag. We need to add a media query here. Just pass the media attribute. And this media attribute that I'm going to use will be used on other places. So I'm going to create another file inside the source directory. I will call it globalvars.js. So I'm going to create a variable. I'll call it image breakpoint. And the value will be inside a parentheses. It will be main width of 1200 pixels. And let's export the variable. And let's import the variable in the hero file. So import image breakpoint from global vars, and let's add the image breakpoint to this media attribute. And we need to add another attribute called source set, and we need to pass the big image, which is C big. So now let's increase the screen size. You can see we now have a different image. On small screen we have another image. So that's it for the image. Now let's add the content. So hero content. Let's add a yellow tag. The text will be console, then PC, then cloud. Then add a content title. And the title will be Sea of Thieves. And now let's add a subtitle. And the text will be play with PC Game Pass or Ultimate. Now let's finally add green button. And the text will be get it now. And here is our content. So let's style them. Let's go to hero styles. Let's go to the hero section first. Let's add a position property of relative. Then width will be 100%. Let's go to the hero PG image. we need to select the image tag inside the picture tag. So image width will be 100% and height will be auto. Then object fit will be cover. Object position will be top and center. And max height will be 120 rem. We are putting the max height so that when we will increase the screen size, it doesn't go beyond 120 rem. Okay, so that's it for the image. Let's go to the hero content. Let's add position to absolute. We want to place the text on the bottom, so bottom will be 20%. We want to move it to the center, so left will be 50%, not 59, 50%. Then transform, translate X. Will be negative 50% because this text is not at the center, it is started from the center. Okay, so now the text is at the center. Now let's add text align to center, and width will be 80% of its parent. Z index will be 10. And finally color will be white. Now let's style the title. Let's add font size of 4 rem. Then line height of 1.3. Then font weight will be bold. Then padding will be 1 rem and 0. 1 rem for top and bottom and 0 for left and right. Let's style the subtitle. Let's add font size 2.5 rem and font weight will be 400 and line height will be 1.4 and also padding will be same as the title. So that's it for the title and the subtitle. Let's work on the yellow tag and the green button. So let's open up the common styles. So let's style the green button first. Let's add a font size of 1.7 rem. Then display will be inline block. Then text transform will be uppercase. Then font weight will be bold. Then padding will be 0.5 rem for top, 2 rem for right, and 0.5 rem for bottom, and 2.2 rem for left. Let's add a font color. It will be 054B16. Let's add a background color. It will be hex value 9BF00B. And I want to add a hover effect. I want to change background. It will be hex value 8BD80A. Then text decoration will be underline. And cursor will be pointer. And now if I hover over it, You can see this effect, but it is too harsh, so we need to add a transition property. We want to animate all in 0.3 second, ease in and out. Alright, so now it is looking pretty good. Now let's style the yellow tag. Let's add a background color of FFD800. Then display will be inline block. Then font size will be 1.4 rem, and padding will be 0 and 1 rem. 0 for top and bottom, 1 rem for left and right, and color will be black. Then finally text transform will be uppercase. Alright, so our hero content and the image is looking pretty good. And now let's add other hero sections with the image and the content. So let's open up the hero file. Now you can see that this file is getting pretty messier. So I'm gonna create another file inside the hero directory. I will call it hero slideshow.jsx. I'll close the other files, global vars, then common component, app.js, and I guess that's it. So I'll create another component here. Before I copy paste anything from the hero file, I'm gonna paste an array of data. So this is the array of data that I was talking about. This is an array of object, and inside the object we will have the data for each of the section. We have the title, subtitle, then images object. We have a small image and a big image, then button text. Also we have a property on left side, but only it is available on the first object, and later I will talk about why it will be useful. And this object also have a yellow tag, so we will loop over the slideshow data to render all of these sections. You can see we have a bunch of errors because the images are not available. So I'm going to copy all of this import and I will paste it here. I will also import other things like nano ID and swiper. So import, not import, nano ID from nano ID. I will also import swiper components and swiper slide from swiper/react. I will also import the swiper core module from swiper, and also I will import the autoplay module from swiper. And now we need to import the CSS from swiper. So import, not import, import swiper/CSS. And now let's open up the hero file and let's just import the hero slideshow component. From hero slideshow, and let's add hero slideshow here, and let's go to hero slideshow. Inside the component I will remove this div and I will add a swiper component, not swiper core. And inside the swiper, I will loop over the slideshow data dot map. So let's get the data. From the data, I will destructure some of the properties. So const from data, I will get yellow tag, then title, then subtitle, images, button text, and also on left side. Actually, I will destructure that later. And now let's destructure the images. Const from images, and I will get the small and big. Now let's return some JSX. So I will add swiper slide, and let's add a key, and it will be nano ID. And inside the swiper slide, I will add all of this image and the content, and I will also remove these divs. And now let's change these values with actual value from the data object. So image breakpoint will be same, but source set will be big, and the image source will be small, and the yellow tag will be yellow tag, then title, then subtitle, then just button text. So let's see what we have. Okay, so we have the same image and same text. Let's try to slide. Okay, so you can see that we can now slide, but it doesn't have loop. So to add a loop, just go to the swiper component and add a prop called loop. And now we have loop. Okay, so to add autoplay, we need to initialize the swiper core with the autoplay module. So let's do that. So swiper core dot use, and we need to pass an array of modules. I'm gonna pass autoplay, then go to swiper component and pass a prop autoplay, and you can see that we now have autoplay. So our hero section is done actually. Now let's go to the hero file and let's just delete all of these unused imports. So our hero section is finally done. So now let's work on this icon section. The icons are available on the media directory, then icons, then inside the green directory. So I will close all of the files. Let's create a new directory inside the components directory. I'll call it icons. And inside the icons, I'll create a new file, icons.jsx. Then I'll create another file, icons.styles.jsx. Not JSX, only JS. And let's create a component. And let's import that on app.js. So import icons from components/icons/icons. And let's add that here. So let's first open up the icon styles file. Let's import style component. First we need to create a container. Then inside the icon container there will be 6 links, and inside those links we will have this image which are SVG. Then we have this text. Okay, so let's quickly do that. So let's create a component. I'll call it icons container, and the tag will be section. Then we will have a icon link, and the tag will be anchor tag. And finally we will have icon text, and the text will be p tag. So let's go to icons.jsx. I need to import a bunch of files, so I'm gonna paste them here. Alright, so these are the import statements that we need. And also I will need an array of object. So I'm just gonna paste that too. So this will be the icon data. It has a name property and an icon property, which will be the actual icon. So let's go to the component and I will remove these divs. I will add an icon container. Then I will loop over the icon data. I will destructure each of the object. I will get the name and the icon. I will return some JSX. I will return icon link. And inside the icon link, we will have an image tag. Source will be icon. And then there will be icon text. And the text will be name. And let's add a key. And it will be nano ID. So this is what we have for now. So let's style them. Let's go to icon styles. And inside the icons container, let's make that display grid. Then grid template columns to repeat, auto fit, and we need to use the min max function. At minimum, I want it to take 100 pixels, and at maximum it will take 1 FR. Basically, it will create columns automatically for you based on the sizes. Then I want it to take 90% width. And I want it to center, so margin 0 for top and bottom, auto for left and right. Justify items to center. And I want gap on each of the row, so grid row gap of 1 rem, sorry, not 1 rem, 3 rem. Then I want padding of 3 rem for top and bottom and 0 for left and right, and max width of 90 rem. Now let's style the icon link. Let's also make it display grid. Then justify items to center. Then width of 10 rem. Now let's style the icon text. So let's add border on the bottom, 0.7 rem, solid. I will add green for now. Later I will make it transparent. The border will only be seen when we will hover over the icon link. And let's make it display inline block. And text align to center. Then text transform will be uppercase. Then font size will be 1.5 rem. Then font weight will be bold, and color will be a CSS variable. I named it --Xbox green. Then padding will be 0.5 rem for top and bottom and 0 for left and right. Now let's add hover effect to the icon link. I want cursor to pointer. Now when we will hover over on icon link, I want border color of the text to be Xbox green from transparent. So I will make it transparent. And to access icon text from icon link, I will cut the component from here and put it on top. And now I can access the icon text. So on hover of the icon link, I want to select the icon text I want to change the border color to the variable --xbox green. So now we don't see the border color. Now let's hover over it. You can see we can see the border when we hover over the icon link, but it is too harsh, so we need to add a transition property to it. So transition, it will be 0.3 second, is in and out. And now if I hover over them, you can see now we have nice transition. So now let's work on the content block section. It is going to be a little bit complicated, so bear with me. I'll try to make things as simple as I can. So this is what we have on small screen size. If I close the dev tool, you can see it is a different view. So on bigger screen sizes, we have this content block section. This whole is a content block. Then this one is a horizontal block. Then another content block like before. Then again this horizontal block. So each of this content block, we have 2 columns, and each of this column has 2 rows. There are 2 types of block. One is a big block, another one is a small block like this. Each of these blocks has their content. It has a title, subtitle, and a call to action button or a link, whatever you say. But inside a small block, we have 2 more columns. One column will store an image, another column will store those content. And the style of the big blocks and small blocks going to be different for the text. And the first column's first row is the big block and the second row is small block. And the second column's first row is a small block and second column's second row is a big block to make it a little bit beautiful. Then inside the horizontal block, we have this text, this title, then subtitle, then this green button. And on the bottom, we have the same thing again. But the text styles are going to be a little bit different. And if I go to the small screen size again, and if I go to the top, and now you can see that we have only one single column. We have the big block, small block, then small block, then the big block, and then the horizontal block, and then it repeats. So how we are going to achieve this? We're going to make a container for containing this whole block. And it will have 2 columns using CSS grid, and each of this grid column will be a flex box, and on each of this column we will put a big block, then the small block, then on the next column we will put a small block, then a big block. Okay, so let's first create a single block, then we will add horizontal block and other things. Okay, so you can see it's a little bit complicated, but don't worry, I will make things simple as much as I can. So let's go to the small screen size again. And let's quit all of these files. So let's create a directory inside the components directory. I will call it content blocks. And let's create another file. Content blocks.jsx. Then I'll create another file, content blocks.styles.jsx, not jsx. So let's create a component and let's add that on our app.js file. Let's import content blocks from components / content blocks and let's add content blocks and let's close this file for now. Let's go to the content blocks and let's go to the content block styles and import style component. We will create bunch of component First it will be content blocks container, and the tag will be section, and I'll copy this one, and it will be content block column, and the tag will be just div. Then we will create our small block. Tag will be div. Then our block image. And again it will be picture tag. Then we will create a block title. And the tag will be h2. I'll copy this one, and then I will need subtitle, and the tag will be h4, not h4, it will be just p. Then we will create a CTA button, and the tag will be just anchor tag, not button. Then we'll create a component called block description, which will contain the title, CTA button, subtitle, and so on. Block description. Then we'll create a big block. I'm missing the tag, it will be div. Okay, so these are the components that we will need. Let's go to content blocks. I need to import a bunch of things, so I'm gonna paste them here. Alright, so these are the import that we need. We need the yellow tag, the image breakpoint variable. These are the images, and these are the images for big breakpoint, and these are the style components. Now I forgot to mention one thing, that on the small blocks the pictures will change on the breakpoints. So on small screen sizes there will be an image for the small block, and if I increase the screen size then it will be a different image, just like our hero section. Okay, so that's what I forgot to mention earlier. So let's create another component. I will call it blocks, which will return JSX. So we will return content blocks container. Inside the content blocks container we will put two content block column. So on the first column we will add a big block, and inside the big block we will add the block image. Remember, it was a picture tag, but on the big block the image will not change, so I will not put any source tag, I will only put an image tag, and the source will be box snacks. And actually I will add the blocks in the content blocks. And here is the image. Now after the block image I will add block description. So I will create another component, const single description. It will take bunch of props, so I will destructure them. It will take a prop called dark. Dark prop will be used to make the description text black, because not all the description text is color white. This one has a color black. Then I want the tag, then title, subtitle, then CTA, and I will return some JSX. I will add block description. Now tag prop will be optional. So if tag exists, I want to insert a yellow tag component. So tag, then yellow tag. and the text will be tag. Then I want to add block title, and the text will be title. Then I want subtitle, and it will be subtitle. Then I want CTA button, and the text will be CTA. And now let's add the single description component after the block image. So let's pass the props. Title will be box snacks. Then subtitle will be play now with Xbox Game Pass or purchase. Then CTA will be get it now. And you can see we have this text. Now let's add a small block. And I'll just copy this component. And instead of box snacks, it will be Game Pass. And let's go to the bottom, and now we have another image. So now we have a single column. Now let's add the second column. So I will copy this whole thing. And I will paste it here. And I will just reverse the order. The small block will come first, and then the big block. So now let's change the images. This one will be playful. The small block image will be empires. So let's see what we have. And we have 2 more images, and don't worry about the text. We will add real text later, because you can see that this file is getting messier. But don't worry, we will fix them after we style the components. So let's go to the styles file. Let's start it with the container. So we need to make it display grid so that we can have columns. And grid template columns will be 1FR. And I want to add margin to the bottom for 0.5 rem. Now let's style the images. Again, I will select the image tag inside the picture tag. I want display to block, and width will be 100%. Height will be auto. And now let's style the content block column, and let's make cursor to pointer, and color will be white, and display will be grid, not flex, grid. And I want to select all of the divs of the column, small block and the big block. And I want to add margin to the top, and it will be 0.5 rem. And let's go to small block. I want to add background color, and the background color will be CSS variable. It will be --Xbox green. Now let's style the titles. I want font size to 2.6 rem. Then margin top will be 1 rem, and color will be, not call row, color will be inherit. Then let's style the subtitle. Font size will be 1.8 rem. Line height will be 1.5. And now let's add padding top. of 2.4 rem. Then margin bottom 1 rem, and color will be inherit. Now let's style the CTA button. Padding will be 1 rem for top, 0.3 rem for right, then 0.7 rem for bottom, and 0 for the left. Then margin top will be 1.6 rem. Then font size will be 1.5 rem. Then font weight will be 900. Then text transform will be uppercase, and color will be inherit. Display will be inline block. Now let's style the block description, which is the parent of this title, subtitle, and the CTA button. So padding will be 4 rem for top and bottom, and 3 view width for left and right. And then color, and it will be depend on the prop, the dark prop that I was talking about earlier. So we need to pass a function. Props will be the parameter. If props.dark is true, then the text color will be black, else it will be white. Now if I scroll down, you don't see the text because it is white. For this block, the text color will be black, so I'm gonna pass the dark prop on the block description. So on the last block, this one, I will pass the dark prop. And let's go to the single description, and let's pass the dark prop. And now you can see the text. Let's go to the styles file again. Now I want to add a hover style to this CTA buttons. So let's select the CTA button on hover. I want to change the color on hover, and that color will depend on the dark prop. So again, I will copy this one. So if props.dark exists, then the value will be black, else the value will be a CSS variable. It will be --light -green. I'm missing a closing parenthesis. So now let's hover over the button. You can see that it turns into green. But if I hover over on this one, it doesn't turn into green. And I want to add an underline. So text decoration will be underline. And now we have underline, but that will be too harsh, the change of color. So I want to add transition to it. And let's add a transition. I want to animate all in 0.3 second. Is in and out. And now we have a little bit of animation. Now let's style the big block. Now in the big block, the text will be floated on the image. So we want to make this position relative. And now we need to select the block description, which will be inside the big block. And let's add position, absolute. And I want to position it on the bottom. And background will be transparent. And width will be 100%. and you can see it is looking pretty good. The content blocks section on small screen size, it wasn't that hard, right? But the content blocks file is totally a mess, so I'm gonna create another file that will contain all of the data about these blocks, the title, subtitle, image, and so on. So I'll create another file. I'll call it blockdata.js, and I'll just paste the data here. So these are the data that we are going to need. I have imported all of the necessary images. So we have this first block data, we have image, title, subtitle, CTA, and also this has a pattern. This is a big block, this is a small block, and big block. Same for the second block data. Okay, and finally we have exported the two arrays, first block data and the second block data. So now let's go to content blocks. We will not need these imports. I'll create an array. So const pattern, and it will be an array. First it will be big block, then small block, then again small block, and finally big block. So we will maintain this pattern. Don't worry about the error, we will fix it now. So I will create another component, const single block. This component will contain everything about a single piece of block, for example the image, text, and so on. This will take some props. I will destructure them. It will take a parent as a component, then it will have a data prop, and I will destructure that too. I will only need the big image and the image, and finally the rest of the data. And now let's insert the parent. Then I will add a block image. If the big image exists, then I want to add a source property, a source tag, and media will be image breakpoint. I guess I haven't imported that. Oh no, I have imported it. So media will be image breakpoint, and source set will be big image. Then image tag, and the source will be image. And I will add a single description, and I will spread rest of the data. So inside the blocks component and inside the content block column, I will delete everything from here. So inside the content block column, I will add a single block. And I haven't imported the data, so let's import that. And I will import first block data and second block data. And on the single block, I will pass data. And actually the data will come from the props. So data, it will be an array of objects. So I'll pass the first object of that array. So data index 0, and the parent will be the pattern of index 0. Now you might be confused, but let me explain. This data is actually the array of data that we have imported, the first block data, which will come as props, and this data will be for the single block, and which will be used for the description, and we have passed the first object of that array, which will be this one. Okay, and the parent will be the first index of the pattern, which will be big block. So I will copy this again. This time it will be index 1, and parent will be pattern index 1. I will copy this again. and I will paste it here, and this time it will be index 2 and it will be index 3. Now we don't see anything because we haven't passed that data. So on the first block we will parse first block data. I will copy this one, and second one will be second block data. And now we don't have any error. Let's scroll down, and you can see we still have the same content blocks, but this is much more cleaner than before. Alright, so now it is time to create these horizontal blocks. So let's go to content block styles file, and we need to create more components. Let's create a component for horizontal block. I will call it horizontal block, and the tag name will be section. Then I want a description component for horizontal block, which will inherit styles from block description component, this one. So I will call it horizontal block description, and it will inherit from block description. And now I will create another component which will be Star Wars block description, which will inherit from horizontal block description. And that component will be used for this piece of text. You can see that this text style and this text style are totally different, so we need to create separate components for them. So Star Wars block description, and it will inherit from horizontal block description. Then I will copy this one, and I will change the component name to gear shop description. Alright, so now I will create another file inside the content blocks directory. I will call it horizontalblocks.jsx. So let's create a component. The component name will be Star Wars block, and it will not be default export, it will be named export. And I need to import a lot of things, so I'm gonna paste the code here. So these are the import statements that we will need. So let's go to Star Wars block, and let's just remove these divs. And let's add horizontal block, and inside the block we will have block image, and again source tag, and I will add the media prop, and the media prop will be image breakpoint like we have used earlier. Then source set, and we have imported 4 images: Star Wars big. This is the small image, this is the big image, this is the small image, and this is the big image. So this one will be the big image, so Star Wars big. Then we will add the image tag, and I'll just pass the Star Wars. And now let's add Star Wars description. Now let's add block title, and the title would be simply next gen. And now let's add block subtitle, and the text will be this. And finally let's add a green button, and the text will be learn more. And now let's go to the content blocks file, and I will import the Star Wars block, and I will import Star Wars block. We have an error. Star Wars description was not found. Okay, so this should not be Star Wars block description, this should be Star Wars description, and it will be gear shop description. We also have another error. Okay, so it should not be image breakpoint, it should be img breakpoint, short form. And also here. Alright, so we don't have any errors. So let's go to the content blocks file, And let's add the Star Wars block. So after the first content block column, I will add the Star Wars block. So let's scroll up. You can see this is our image, and we cannot see the text because the text is color white. So we have to style them. So let's go to the content block styles file. So inside the horizontal block component, let's add a position property, and it will be relative. And let's go to horizontal block description. We need to change the font color, and it will be black. And now let's go to Star Wars description component. Let's add padding of 4 rem. And now let's select the block title. And let's change the font size to 5 rem. And now let's select the block subtitle. And font size will be 3 rem. And line height will be 1.4. Alright, so that's it for the Star Wars description. Now let's create the gear shop description. So now let's create a gear shop block. So const gear shop block, and I will copy everything from here and I'll paste it here. The source set will be gear shop big, and the image source will be gear shop. So let's add the gear shop block to the content block. So I will import the gear shop block. I made a mistake actually. The Star Wars block will not be here, it will be inside the content blocks component between these two blocks. And now let's add the gear shop block. Sorry about that, guys. Gear shop block was not found in horizontal blocks. I haven't exported the component, so it will be gear shop block. Alright, so now let's scroll down, and now here is our Star Wars block. And if I scroll down more, here is our gear shop block, but we need to change the styles. But the styles should be different, so let's go to horizontal block and let's change the Star Wars description with gear shop description. Alright, so our styles are now fixed. So we have created the horizontal blocks. Now let's work on the footer section. So I will close all of these files. And let's create another directory. Inside the components directory, I will call it footer. And inside the footer, let's create a footer file. Oops, not JS, JSX. And let's create another file. It will be footer.styles.js. So let's create a component. And let's open up the app.js file. So now let's import the footer. And let's add the footer here. Now the footer is this part. This one is a separate section. We will create that after we are done with the footer. So the footer is made of two parts. This is a single footer list, and this one is another list. These are the legal links and these are the normal footer links. And this list has 3 columns. Each of the column has different links, and also it has a title. I have inserted some dummy link text because I don't want to waste time. You can add original text if you want, but I'm not gonna bother about them. So let's close this file and let's go to the footer styles file. And let's import style component. Let's create a footer component that will contain everything. And the tag name will be footer. Then we will need a footer link component. all of the links are same component, so I'll call it footer link, and the tag will be anchor tag. And I need a container for storing the legal links. I'll call it footer legal links, and the tag will be div. Then I'll create another component for storing all of the footer links, for storing all of the links with these columns. So footer links container, and the tag will be div, a footer column component, and the tag will be div. And let's create a column title. I'll call it footer column title, and the tag will be h4. Okay, so these are the components that we will need, so let's import them. But before that, I will rename this component. I'll call it footer comp. So let's import the components, so let's use them. I will remove these divs. I will add footer, then footer links container for containing those columns. Then I will add footer column, and inside the footer column we will have a title, so footer column title, and the title will be browse, doesn't matter here. Then I will add 4 footer links. I'm gonna paste them here. So these are the dummy links, and I'm gonna copy this footer column, and I'll paste it 2 more times. Now let's add the footer legal links. We will add that after footer links container, and again I'm gonna paste the links. Alright, so these are the links, so let's style them. Let's go to footer. Let's add padding of 0 for top and bottom, and 2 rem for left and right. And let's add background. It will be hex value. It will be f2, f2, f2. And now let's add padding bottom of 5 rem. And now let's style the footer link. Let's add margin right, and the value will be 3 rem. Color will be hex value. It will be 616161. Font size will be 1.1 rem, and line height will be 1.6. Then padding top will be 0.6 rem, and text transform will be capitalized. And we need to add a hover effect, and let's add text decoration, underline. And now let's style the footer legal links. Let's add display of flex, and flex wrap to wrap. And let's add margin top of 2 rem, and I will copy this 2 line. I will copy these 2 line of text, display flex and flex wrap wrap. I will paste them inside the footer links container, and let's style the footer column. Let's make display flex and flex direction will be column, and let's add flex spaces of 30 rem. And now select the footer link inside footer column, let's make it display block, and margin bottom of 1.5 rem, Now let's select the footer column title. Let's make font weight to bold and padding top of 3 rem. And let's make font size to 1.5 rem, and color will be X value 616161. Alright, so that's it for the footer. Our footer is looking pretty good. Now let's add the social media section. So I will close all of these files. Let's create another directory. I'll call it social media. And let's create a file. I'll call it social media.jsx. And let's create another file, social media.styles.js. And let's create a component. Let's open up the app.js file. Let's import social media. So let's open up the social media styles file. Let's import style components. We need to create 3 components. One component will hold everything, another component for the text, another component for the media icons. So let's create a component. I will call it social media block, and the tag will be div. Let's create a follow text. And that tag will be span. And let's create a social media icon component, and the tag will be image. So let's go to the social media file, and we need to import few things, so I'm gonna paste the code here. So we have imported the style components, we have imported some SVG files, email, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So let's remove the div. Let's add the social media block. Let's add the follow text component. So text will be follow Xbox. Then we will add social media icon. And let's add a source. I will copy this 3 more times. So first time source will be email, then Facebook, then Twitter, and Instagram. Alright, so we don't have any error, but I don't see the SVGs. Let's go to app.js. I have imported the component, but I haven't added that. So social media, it will be above the footer. Alright, so here is the SVGs. So let's style them. So let's go to social media block. Let's add display flex, then flex wrap, then width of 100%, then align items to center, and let's add padding of 4 rem for top and bottom, and 2 rem for left and right. Okay, so now we need to style the social media icon. Let's add width of 3.2 rem, and height will be auto. Margin right will be 1.2 rem, and cursor will be pointer. Alright, so now let's select the follow text. Let's add font size of 1.5 rem, and line height of 2 rem, and margin bottom 0.4 rem. Alright, so our social media section is looking pretty good. And actually our web page is done for the small screen sizes. You can see it's looking pretty good. Now we can work on larger breakpoints. Let's open up the global verse file. And here I'm gonna paste an breakpoints object. So these are the breakpoints that we're going to use. We're going to use min width because we are making this with mobile first approach. We have 4 breakpoint. SM starts from 600 pixels, MD from 900 pixels, LG 1200 pixels, XL 1600 pixels. So let's export that object. So we're going to make the website responsive section by section. First we're going to make the hero section responsive fully, then we're gonna work on other section. Let's open up the hero styles file. So now let's import the breakpoints from global vars file. Now I have to move this tab to another workspace. I will open up the depth tool. I want to select the MD breakpoint which starts from 900 pixels, so the screen size should be more than 900 pixels. Okay, now it is good. On MD screen size, I want to increase the font size of the content title. So let's select the hero content title and let's add the breakpoint. Breakpoints.md. I want to change the font size to 5 rem. Alright, so you can see that the font size has been increased. Now let's do the same thing for the subtitle. And the font size will be 3 rem. And you can see also the subtitle font size has been changed. And now I want to move the content a little bit to the bottom. So I'll copy this line again and let's go to hero content. I'll paste that here. And instead of font size, we will use bottom and we will use 10%. And now it has been moved it to the bottom a little bit. And now we need to handle the LG screen size which starts from 1200 pixels. So let's go to 1200 pixels. Okay, now it is good. It's about 1300 pixels. So again, let's go to title. Let's copy this one. And this time it will be LG. Actually, even before I change the font size of the content title, I need to move this content to the right hand side or the left hand side depending on the picture. So let me show you. If I increase the screen size of the demo app, you can see that the content is now not at the center bottom actually. It's on the right hand side or left hand side depending on the picture. So let's change the style of the content. I'll copy this one. Let's go to content here. Let's change the width to 40% and bottom to auto because we don't want to use the bottom property again and we cannot see the content. So let's add the top property of 50% because we want to move it to the center vertically. Then transform, translate 0 for x-axis and negative 50% for y-axis. And you can see that here is the text. It is on the right hand side. Now we need to text align to the left side. So text align left. Alright, you can see the text are now on the left hand side. Now like I've told you, the text content might be at the left hand side or at the right hand side depending on the picture. For example, in this Xbox picture, the text content should be on the left hand side, but on other pictures, that content should be on the right hand side. So how do we do that? Well, if I just go to the hero file, maybe hero slideshow. Okay, so I will scroll down. You can see in the slideshow data, some objects has this property on left side. That means we want to move the content to the left side, not the right side. So we want to add styles depending on this prop. I guess I passed this prop. Let's see. Maybe not. I haven't passed that yet. So let's destructure the on left side props. And let's pass that here. And now we need to add style based on the prop. So let's add a property left. And let's add a function. Let's get the props. If props dot on left side is true, then the value will be 10%, else the value will be 60%. So let's see if it has worked or not. Yeah, you can see that it has worked. This text is now on the left side. And actually React is giving me a warning that unknown event handler on left side, because event handler starts with on. So let's change that actually. So let's go to hero slideshow and let's change it to only left side, and let's change it to only left side. Also here, and also in the hero styles file. And you can see we don't have the warning anymore. So now let's change the styles of this text. So let's go to the content title. And on the LG breakpoint, the font size will be 3.5 rem. And the subtitle, I will copy this one. And the font size will be 2.5 rem. And our text styles are now fixed. Now let's style this content block sections. They are not looking good. So let's open up the content block styles file. We need to change styles for the LG screen sizes. So let's import the breakpoint again. And let's use the LG breakpoint .lg. Now I want to split the content block container into two separate columns like this one. Okay, so let's do that. Inside the breakpoints LG, we need to add create template columns of 1fr and 1fr for two columns. And I want to have some spacing, so create gap of 0.5 rem. Okay, so now it is working. It is now have two columns. Now we need to add some style to the small blocks. For example, this one. So let's go to the small block. Actually, I will copy this one first. So let's go to the small block and I'll paste that here. I'll remove the grid gap and I'll make it display grid. The small block will be split into two columns. That's why grid template columns will be 1fr and 1fr. And you can see that. And now we need to select the image. We need to make the image height 100%. So inside the block image, let's add the breakpoints. And we need to give height of 50%. Not 50, 100%. And now we need to go to horizontal block description, which is this one. Now remember, horizontal block description is this kind of text where we have these horizontal blocks like this one and this one. So we need to move this text to the center vertically. So let's add the breakpoint Again, we will use the same breakpoint, LG. And let's add position of absolute, and top will be 50%. And now we need to move it to the center vertically with transform property, and it will be translate y -50%. And now the texts are at the center vertically. But these two block description text styles are not going to be same, so we need to customize them manually. So let's go to Star Wars description, just go to block title, and here we need to add a breakpoint of LG, not LG, XL. And we need to make font size of 8.5 rem and line height of 1. Alright, so text is now much bigger than before. Now let's add LG breakpoint. And let's add right property, which will be auto, because we want this at the left side, not right side. Then left will be 5%, and max width will be 60 rem. And you can see now the text are not over the image. And if I scroll up, you can see that this block description is not at the center because we are missing our property. So let's find block description. So inside the block description component, we need to add a property, align self to center. And you can see that the content is now at the center. And now let's change the style of the text of the big blocks. So here is our big block component. I'm gonna create a CSS mixin because those styles will be applied to another component. So let's create that. So const, I will call it common big text style. And to create a CSS mixin, we need to use the CSS function from style component. So let's import that. Here it is. So let's add the template strings. Actually, even before I write any style, I will add that to the big block. And now let's add styles. First, we need to select the SM breakpoint. So I will open up the dev tool here. And the SM breakpoint starts from 600 pixels, so we need to go more than 600 pixels. Now it is good. So let's select the SM breakpoint. And now let's select the CTA button. Let's add font size of 2 rem. And then change the block title. And let's add font size of 3.6 rem. And I'll copy this one. And it will be block subtitle. And font size will be 2.5 rem. And you can see the texts are now better than before. And we're gonna add the same style to the gear shop block, this one. So let's add that. So this is the gear shop description, and I haven't added any styles here, so I will add common big text style. And the styles are now changed. And now we need to style this description, this block description for LG breakpoint, which starts from 1200 pixels. So let's go more than 1200 pixels. Alright, this text should be at the right hand side, so let's add that. We need to use the breakpoint LG. Let's add padding right of 0 and max width of 40 rem, and right, because we want the description on the right hand side, so the right will be 5%. And you can see the text are now at the right hand side. Now let's select the Excel breakpoint. So I'm going to close the div tool, breakpoints.excel. Let's add the right property of 10% and max width of 50 rem. And you can see the description is looking pretty good, and our content block section is now responsive for every screen size. Okay, so now let's style the footer. So let's close this file and let's open up the footer file, actually footer styles file, and let's import breakpoints. We just need to add only one property, so let's add the breakpoint, and it will be LG breakpoint. We just need to add padding to the left side, and again I have misspelled the breakpoints. I mean, P should be capital, so padding left will be 10 rem. Alright, so we have some padding on the left side of the footer. Now let's style the header section. In our demo app, if I close the dev tool, so this is our header looks like in big screen. We don't have the hamburger menu icon, and the navigation links that we had used are on the header section. So let's style that up. So let's just open up the header file. So let's just go to the header component, and after the Xbox logo, we're gonna add the navigation component. And remember, navigation component takes parent as a prop, so let's pass the parent. And the parent will be navigation on big screen that we have imported from navigation styles file. And if we see the navigation on big screen, it is totally empty. We want to disappear the icons on LG screen size. We want to disappear the hamburger navigation on LG screen size. Let's go to hamburger navigation. Actually, let's import the breakpoints. And let's add the LG breakpoint. And let's add display of none. So if I click on this hamburger icon, you can see that we don't have the navigation. To remove the hamburger navigation icon, we need to go to the header.styles file. But before that, I'm going to copy this. So let's go to header.styles. And let's go to hamburger icon. And I'm going to paste that text here. And I'll paste the import statement for breakpoints. And you can see that we don't have the hamburger icon. And the MS logo container is taking all the remaining space, but we want to prevent that on big screen. So let's go to MS logo container. So MS logo, here it is. So let's add the breakpoint. I will copy this text. And let's make display to block instead of flex. And let's change flex grow to 0. And you can see that it is now not taking the remaining space, but we want some margin on the left and right hand side. So it will be 0 for top and bottom and 2 rem for left and right. And we have a little bit of margin on the right and left. And let's go to header container. We need to add some padding on the Excel screen size. So padding of 0 for top and bottom and 10 rem for left and right. And you can see we have some spacing on left side and also on the right hand side. So now let's go to the navigation styles file. Let's style the navigation on big screen component. We need to add display none for small screen sizes. And we need to select the nav link. And we need to remove the border. And now let's add the LG breakpoint. So let's add position of static, then display of flex, and flex direction of row. And now we can see the links. Let's add some padding on the left side of 3 rem. And let's make flex scroll of 1. Alright, so now our header is looking pretty good. And that's it for our Xbox clone. Our Xbox clone is looking pretty good. It is now responsive for the bigger screen sizes. It was a pretty long video, and if you are still watching this, I really appreciate that. If the video has been helpful for you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. If you have any question about today's video, please let me know in the comment section. If you want to suggest me any topic, please let me know in the comment section, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter as thatanjan, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.